7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to... Where's Allie?
I don't know. She was there a minute ago, and then you muted us, and I haven't heard from her since.
Welcome to Freethought in Florida. Freethought in Florida is a production of the Atheist community of Polk County. This is Friday, the 23rd of July, 2021. I'm going to check my messages and see what happened to Allie. In the meantime, there's a big storm going on outside our house.
Big storm.
So if we happen to find ourselves
Without power.
yeah, if we disappear, did you
lose power?
No. No.
Okay,
I'm
good.
good. We're good.
So how are you, Allie?
Good. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I'm
Okay.
trying to find why you've got an echo. That's all.
Oh no.
She's speaking to us from the heavens.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear it on air. We can hear it in the studio,
It's
and it's
really
just
weird.
annoying as hell.
Yeah.
Yes. So big storm. If the feed drops out, we'll try to get back on as soon as we can. We'll just play it by ear and wing it and see how it goes.
Wing it.
Wing it. That's what we do best.
Yes.
Thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/polkatheists. You can be like these wonderful people and make a monthly pledge to help support the show. Keeps us going. And you get some bonus content. We often stick around after the show and talk about some other fun topics. So you get access to all of that. Of course, we want you to share the episodes, like, subscribe, smash that like button.
Oh my God.
Smash it.
Like,
Guys.
subscribe, share it, guys.
Guys.
Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Hit the bell, ring the bell. Ding,
Wrong
ding, ding,
show.
ding,
Wrong
ding.
show. Shut up.
Oh, we have a bell. All right.
And you'll get notified when we go live.
Look, it's an actual
A legit bell.
relic of a bell.
Okay.
Oh, I have all kinds of fun toys here. Here about this.
I-
Ask a yes or no question, and President Predicto will answer it for you. Will the storm take out the power tonight?
Yes.
Oh no, no!
I recognize that
That's
voice.
terrible. I bet you do.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. There's some
Um,
Star Trek coasters in here somewhere that
Oh,
when
yeah.
you set your drink down on it, it like
makes the transporter sound.
Transporter sound.
Yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
we have all the fun toys.
I want those. I want those.
Right? They're pretty awesome.
I'll send you the link. I think it was like a geek
Okay.
stop or
Yes, please
Yeah.
what's
do.
that? What's the GameStop has like the
Geek.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
are you doing?
I don't know what's going on right now.
It's gonna be great.
Are you okay?
What a night. Okay.
What a night. It just started, lady.
Well,
I
get,
disappear. You're looking behind you.
get your
what's
laughter
happening?
out now,
Oh
because
God. Okay,
it's
bye
one of
guys.
those
I'll see you
nights.
later. It's been a great
There's
show.
not gonna be too much more.
no,
Yeah.
that's it for the laughter
Oh,
tonight.
Man. Why'd you
Um,
suck me into this?
well,
You
this
you
is what we
lied to
do.
me, didn't you?
I didn't lie to you. I didn't tell you anything. I said, hey,
No,
I need you on the
this
show.
is what she said. Hey, I need you on the show because we have nothing to talk about. And now all of a sudden you have stories that are going to make me angry.
Yes, I do. Okay, so the first story that we want to talk about tonight is a story out of Liberty University. This is all detailed out by Hemant Mehta over at The Friendly Atheist. 12 women sued Liberty University for enabling sexual abuse. Their stories are horrifying. Hemant writes, 12 women just sued Liberty University, claiming that officials there intentionally created a campus environment where sexual assaults and rapes are foreseeably more likely to occur than they would in the absence of Liberty's policies. Lawsuit says the school violated Title IX rules, which require schools to protect students from discrimination on the basis of sex, threatened victims for violating the school's insane honor code, known as the Liberty Way, and didn't take their sexual assault claims seriously. The stories detailed in the lawsuit are absolutely horrific. Keep in mind that even Liberty is required to tell students about Title IX and how to report crimes. This isn't about the inappropriate conduct of Jerry Falwell Jr. This lawsuit is about a broken Christian system that punishes women for the actions of men and doesn't take assault seriously. By enforcing over-the-top rules regarding sex and clothing, women were actually left in a more dangerous position. So I don't know how familiar you are with these colleges and some of their ridiculous like honor codes and dress codes and all of that bullshit. But we hear about these. Liberty has been one of the big ones for a long time. I think Brigham Young University was one of the other ones that you hear about often. Just insane stuff, like literally insane. About who can be with who and when and where and like just absolutely crazy. So Hemmett detailed this out from the lawsuit. I don't know how far we're going to get. I'm guessing not through all 12. I'll probably throw something before we get that far.
Yeah.
Or I will.
But
it's pretty bad.
But it's worth, I think, hearing from these women. So, fair warning, if you need to skip and come back in a little bit, this might be hard to listen to. Jane Doe number 1, a former Liberty employee. In 2013, she told her supervisor, Keith Anderson, at work that she had an allergic reaction, and he said he'd deliver medication at her home. She said no. He came anyway, at 2 a.m., even though she never gave him her address. He said he wouldn't leave until she took the pill he was handing her. She took it. He still wouldn't leave, saying he wanted to make sure she got to bed safely. Quote, shortly thereafter, Doe 1 became woozy and passed out on her sofa. She woke up sometime later with Anderson's hands on her neck, whereupon she again demanded that he leave and threatened to scream to alert the neighbors and call the police. He left, but then came back to her place the next day, denying he had touched her. Then he asked to rub medicinal cream on her body. She said no, but soon complied out of fear for her safety. As he rubbed cream on her back, he kissed her forcibly and against her will. When she rejected his advances, he said he would leave her deported if he would have her deported if she told anybody what he did, which he may have had the power to do since she was in the country on an H-1B visa. His threats continued. He told people she, quote, suffered from mental illness. She eventually told Liberty's HR department what happened, and they did nothing. They said the man in question was a man of God, and she was trying to smear his reputation. An investigation conducted by the school resulted in no consequences for the man. No one bothered to interview witnesses provided by Jane Doe number 1. She was denied promotions after that. Then, a year after making her complaint, she was fired. Jane Doe number 2, a former Liberty student. She was being stalked by a man who wasn't connected to Liberty and asked the school to help protect her. While they said the stalker couldn't come on campus, they did allow her to change her dorm. They didn't allow her to change her dorm on her or her on-campus job, which made it easy to locate her. After notice was served, Doe 2 was assaulted by 3 men outside of a tunnel connecting the two sides of campus. At the time, she had been walking from her student job to her dorm, both of which were known to her stalker. She said she was raped during that attack, and she reported that to Liberty police and administrators. They didn't tell her she could request a Title IX investigation, which they're supposed to do. They didn't take steps to make that tunnel safer with more lights and cameras either, which they should have done. One administrator, Executive Vice President Ron Godwin, told her if she didn't feel safe on campus, she could just leave.
Wow.
They told her to see a counselor off campus who basically blamed her for being a rape victim. That counselor, she later learned, was Ron Godwin's wife. Doe 2 eventually left the school. Jane Doe number 3, a former Liberty student. In 2017, she went to a party where she admits she drank a little alcohol. Not a lot, she said, but it was
Not
enough.
a crime.
It was
Not
enough.
a
Yeah,
crime.
right, and not a crime. It was enough to cause her to black out. Next thing she knows, the male Liberty student she came to the party with was on top of her. When she woke up the next day in that male student's friend's apartment, she saw the guy again and things got worse. Quote, she found her friend who grabbed her, forced her onto the bed, digitally penetrated her, removed her bra, and grasped her breast and neck so forcefully as to leave bruises, and forced her into penetrative sex, all without her consent and over her objection. She wanted to report all this to Liberty's Title IX department, but her RA warned her against it, saying she would be punished for drinking because of Liberty's rules. She reported it anyway. During the course of the investigation, though, pictures she took of bruises on her body were removed from the file because, according to Liberty, they were too explicit.
So the evidence
Yeah.
was too explicit.
Yeah. Here's a picture of my thigh with a bruise on it or whatever it was. I mean, really? Liberty
Yeah.
eventually dismissed the case. The male student faced no consequences. In fact, he allegedly, quote, began a campaign of harassing her, culminating in a frivolous lawsuit against her.
My God.
Jane Doe 3 tried to take her own life. She was thankfully unsuccessful. She later dropped out of school. Jane Doe number 4, a former Liberty student. She told a member of the school's hockey team she didn't want to have sex with him. He forced her to anyway in the back of his car. Then he blamed her for not being more forceful in stopping him, saying, quote, next time she should just slap him in the face. When the school's Title IX department investigated the matter, they told students to stay away from each other. But the athlete showed up at her workplace. She asked her manager to make sure he wasn't in contact with her, but Liberty then punished her for doing that. Liberty University's Title IX department thereafter contacted Doe number 4 to inform her that by asking a third party to have contact with her assailant, even to advise him he was in violation of the stay-away order, she was herself in violation of the order. Title IX department threatened punishment if she repeated the bogus violation. The next time he came to her workplace, she called campus police. In response, the school said she had violated the stay-away order. It took a restraining order from a secular court to stop him from returning to her workplace. Eventually, the school decided the rape was actually consensual sex since they had fooled around in the past. Consent today does not equal consent tomorrow, kids. Consent right now doesn't equal consent in 5 minutes. Oh my God. And then the athlete filed his own Title IX claim against her, saying she'd made a false allegation. Then things got even more fucked up because she began a new relationship. Quote, Doe 4 entered into an initially platonic friendship with a man who led her to believe he was a member of the Lynchburg Police Department. The platonic relationship progressed, and Doe 4 slept with the police officer. After she did, the officer confessed that he was not a member of the Lynchburg Police Department, but was instead a member of the Liberty University Police Department. That he had responded to her prior calls regarding her assailant, and that he might become involved in the investigation of the retaliation allegations. He also confessed that he was married to another woman.
Jesus Christ.
She tried taking her own life after that. She was thankfully unsuccessful. She later graduated. Jane Doe number 5, a former Liberty residential student. While living on campus, she became pregnant with her boyfriend. When word got back to you big fucking no-no at Christian school. When word got back to school officials, they gave her 24 hours to move out because she was being evicted and expelled. Even though the school didn't have that policy in writing, they told her she was, quote, a bad example to other students. Hence the expulsion. But they gave her an out. She could remain a student if she married her boyfriend. because that's how you solve that problem.
Yeah.
There's not enough rum in this bottle for tonight. The boyfriend said that was fine. He asked campus officials if he could at least take her on a romantic hike to propose, and showed them the engagement ring he wanted to give her. They said, no, get married right now or she's kicked out. So they got married.
What about him?
Yeah. 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 The school still said she couldn't live on campus. Then they said she wasn't allowed to breastfeed or pump on campus, even though employees were allowed to do that. There were no policies about any of this in their own rule book. They were just making it all up as they went along. It took
Prisoners.
6 months of complaints before school officials allowed her to use the secure lactation room on campus.
Prisoner,
my
slave. What I
God,
mean,
that's child abuse. Because let me tell you something about breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Done it twice. 6 months. That could fuck your kid up if you're not able to do it regularly, and you could
yeah.
totally stop producing enough milk.
Not to mention, I mean, this is wrong.
It's just
like
it's emotional like abuse. It's abuse.
Yeah.
it's control. It's like slavery, prisoner. I mean, all of it.
Oh my
She
God.
can't. Women. Wow. What bothers me about the earlier stories that you mentioned is that even the women on campus, the women who were in power, didn't even help these women.
Yeah.
And they weren't even trying to help the women.
Yeah.
God. I just
I might temper your statement about breastfeeding just to say that, like, we recognize that not all mothers, parents with breasts have the ability to breastfeed,
Right.
and like it's not breastfeeding your child isn't fucking them up. It's
no,
there,
that's
there
not
are,
what I meant.
That's
No.
how it came across.
Okay.
To me anyway.
So what I mean is when you're breastfeeding, it can be very, very physically and emotionally draining. And if you're trying to continue breastfeeding and people are putting obstacles in your way. So I worked for Disney and we didn't have a lactation room and I had to go pump in the manager's office. And I don't know the anxiety that would go through my mind when I'm in there for a little bit longer, because sometimes it takes longer when you don't have a child on you. And knock on the door. How long are you going to be? Just that environment. But to not even have a place to go at all and be told I can't do it on campus. Like that, like, yeah, it can mess your whole system up. It can mess your health up if you're continually trying to breastfeed and it's that's what I meant. I didn't. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's yeah.
I'm going to diverge here for just a moment.
Can we just move on
to look at the 22-page 2019 Liberty University Honor Code. Let's see. Statement on sexuality and relationships. Let's go to that one. I'm just winging it here. Like I haven't.
That's fine, because some of those stories are awful. They really are awful.
Let's see.
What bullshit have they come up with to control a woman's body and make every sexual assault her fault and
I'm done.
and basically
Okay.
I'm done. I'm done. Give me a rocket that looks like a dick. I'm getting out of here.
let's fucking go to the moon.
Oh
done.
God.
I am sick to my stomach right now. It's
I'm-
fine.
yeah,
before I came
I'm
in here.
pissed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so pissed.
This isn't really a lot of detail.
Probably written in such a way that they could like twist when they needed it to.
Well, and it doesn't
Okay,
even matter what it says there, because it clearly said there was no
right.
not even a policy for whatever the one thing was, but they still like
Right.
The
Well, this
pregnancy.
is at least as of 2019.
Hmm.
The policy prohibits discrimination, harassment, non-sexual, sexual harassment, sexual violence, sexual exploitation, stalking, intimate partner violence, intimidation, false reporting, retaliation, and complicity, as those terms are defined in the policy. Collectively, the policy is incorporated herein. Blah blah blah. Prohibited conduct. Prohibited conduct is harmful to the well-being of the university community, its members, and the learning and working environment.
You know what's
there's nothing
harmful to
real
the well-being of a community? Pictures of bruises on breasts or necks or thighs that are deemed too explicit to go into an evidence file.
Here we
and
go.
therefore
This-
deleted.
Here you go.
Women
this
who
will be
can't
good.
feed their child.
Women who have engorged breasts and lactation problems and clogged milk ducts because
exactly.
they can't breastfeed or pump in an appropriate manner.
How about this one? Dress guidelines, because I know this is going to come up in a future story.
I'm so fucking angry
Men's
right now.
men's dress for students. Hairstyles and fashions should avoid extremes. Students must dress modestly, and appropriately at all times. Earrings and plugs may be worn in ears. No other facial jewelry is permitted. Oh, this is like Disney's dress code prior to a year ago. Class dress is required in convocation and class. When visiting university academic and administrative offices, class dress should be neat and consist of footwear, long pants, and shirts. Hats or hoods should not be worn in class or at convocation. Casual dress is acceptable anytime class dress is not required. Casual dress consists of class dress and or loose-fitting modest shorts, warm-ups, and footwear. Swimming pool attire should be a modest swimsuit. Women's
What is that?
Women's dress for students.
Of course.
Ready? Here we go.
Yes.
Hairstyles and fashions should avoid extremes. Students must dress modestly and appropriately at all times. Earrings and plugs may be worn. All that's the same. Class dress should be neat and consist of footwear, modest length skirts or dresses, long pants, including capri or cropped pants, and shirts, blouses. Casual dress consists of class dress and or loose-fitting modest shorts, warm-ups, and footwear. Swimming pool attire should be a modest one-piece swimsuit.
Fucking Handmaid's Tale
Fuck these
precursor. Wow.
Oh wow, the link to the Liberty Way PDF is gone. I couldn't find it.
Apparently, it's not the way.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to log in to their SharePoint to get to the
have to be a student
current
or-
one. That's interesting.
Oh,
Interesting.
my God.
Okay.
You
Jane
know-
Doe number 6.
Okay.
A former Liberty residential. What?
I was so one of the things that you read was that sexual harassment was permitted. Well, I would want them to tell me, okay, what does that look like after reading some of these? What does that look like? I want them to define what sexual harassment is.
What is the
because-
definition?
If it isn't all out rape,
Right.
what
Right.
what is sexual harassment?
Right. If a man puts his hands on me and bruises me
Right.
What's that?
after I say no, get off of me.
Right.
If that's not like, I mean, what do they have to do? Like,
Right. What's it going to take for them to deem something sexual harassment? Are they going to have to rape them right in front of like
Right.
everybody?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Is that what's going to happen?
need
do you have to have 2 witnesses
You have to have 2. Yeah. Right. Well, that
to
is
be biblical?
that is a biblical.
And
Yeah.
And she better not have been drunk,
Right.
because then it's
Right,
her
right.
fault.
Oh, well, that's so
Well,
much of
and-
this is things like, well, she was out past 9 p.m.
Right.
and that's
Right.
against the code. And she would that's the kind of shit you're going to get.
Like, if you're
Yeah.
gonna get raped or sexually harassed, you better not be breaking any of the rules, because
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. Like, if you wore a tank
Exactly.
top to class 2 days before you got raped, it's because you wore that tank
You were
top.
asking
Right.
for it 2
You
days
let
ago.
your shoulders out,
Yep.
and somebody
Yeah.
came.
I
and-
mean, I don't know if it's specifically Liberty, but I know that I've heard the Thank God I'm Atheist boys talk about these before in Mormon land, of like specific rules where like when it's okay to go to the beach. And so it's like, here's the men's times that you can go to the beach, and here's the women's times that you can go to the beach. And if you go to the beach during the wrong time, well, you shouldn't have been at the
You're
beach.
asking for it.
Yep, you shouldn't have been there. You weren't supposed to be there then, so it's your fault. It's all victim blaming bullshit.
I would just like to see every single one of these men that write these policies
Mhm.
get sexually harassed. Like,
Oh,
Like, you know what I mean?
Laws will change.
Give them their own, you know.
Well, first, if they were sexually harassed, they would probably not admit it.
But like unwanted advances.
Right.
Right. Well, yeah.
You know, because I mean, let's be honest, it's not gonna. I don't know.
Jane Doe number 6, a former Liberty residential student. She was a lesbian who wasn't open about it, but she experienced plenty of bigotry on campus, including a professor who insisted, quote, all homosexuals would certainly go to hell. When she came out of to her RA, she was told that there was still time to repent and turn straight, because that works. So she tried that. She even began dating a guy, a Liberty graduate. She wasn't interested in having sex. I should have went at that too. She wasn't interested in having sex with him, obvious reasons, beyond the school's own no sex before marriage rule. So he plied her with alcohol. At one point, she says he gave her a date rape drug and then climbed on top of her. She tried to fight back by biting him. When she finally awoke hours later, she was in his car being dropped off at her dorm. Her dorm mates took her to a hospital where she found out her underwear and bra were missing. When Liberty officials later made an appointment for counseling, it turned out to be a bait and switch. Quote, she was confronted by Liberty for drinking and fined $500. She was told her transcript would not be released unless she paid the $500. Jane Doe number 6 later transferred to another school.
No fucking shit.
Number 7, a former Liberty residential student. She was dating a guy who wasn't a Liberty student. Once at his place, they were watching a movie and both drank some wine. The guy fell asleep and she decided to go back to campus. On the way out, his roommate, a Liberty student, assaulted and raped her. Despite the presence of semen on her body, quote, she had no understanding of the opportunity to undergo a rape kit. Because she worked with the school's department that handled appeals for Title IX complaints and knew how useless they were, she didn't bother making a report. She worked for the office that makes complaints.
She knew she knew.
She knew it was
She
pointless.
There was
knew.
nothing she could do.
If that doesn't tell you all you need to know about this fucked up school.
Right. There's a lot of rapists. That's one thing is there's a lot of rapists at Liberty University.
Sure is.
Oh my God.
Jane Doe number 8, a former Liberty employee. She was sexually harassed by her supervisor, Keith Anderson. Oh, the same guy mentioned in Jane Doe
First
number
guy.
1.
Oh.
Who made inappropriate comments about her to other people. Despite witnesses and complaints to HR, the school did nothing to punish Anderson. In fact, they told him about the complaints, because that's how you resolve it.
God.
Quote, Anderson then retaliated against Doe 8 by, on the one hand, increasing his campaign of inappropriate and sexual comments, and on the other hand, by telling others that he was staying away from her because she thought he had said something inappropriate. Okay. Jane Doe 8 left Liberty because of the harassment, though she said it was because of her pregnancy to avoid making things worse. Jane Doe number 9, a former Liberty student on campus and online. She was engaged to a man she met at Liberty, but he soon began abusing her emotionally and physically. It was so bad that once he locked her into a gas station bathroom and attacked and strangled her. The abuse affected her grades, but she worried about asking for help because he was a well-liked student with powerful connections. Once, while with her boyfriend at a party hosted by a Liberty administrator. Why are you having parties hosted by Liberty administrators?
They're just looking for shit to happen.
Oh my God. That admin drank, got drunk, told students to drink, and talked about his wife's boob job, all of which violates the Liberty way. But there were never any consequences for any of that. Based on her experiences, Jane Doe 9 knew that reported conduct could result in retaliation against her. She and that boyfriend later broke up, and she asked for counseling. The school referred her to a counselor, never telling her about Title IX assistance, and that counselor told her to move on and leave it alone. when professors asked her about her lower grades.
Was that counselor the wife?
I might have been. When
And
professors,
then, well, the retaliation thing, it specifically says in the Liberty Way that that's not, you know.
yeah, it's not allowed. Yeah, but as all of these have shown, the administration is happy to look the other way at all of those things.
It's a breeding ground for predators.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're a Christian guy and you want your pick of women, and you can do whatever you want and get away with it, go to Liberty University or maybe some other school that you can literally do whatever you want.
Yep.
And
no investigation ever took place from this. The other thing is too, like, and this is why the idea that like the religious counseling is a thing just boggles my mind. It pisses me off. It's the reason why anytime I'm looking for a therapist, I ask, like, are you using science-based methods? Like, are you going to tell me to pray, find some more Jesus, put it out in the universe, whatever? Like, and this makes me think of like premarital counseling a lot, because I've been through that once. And like pastors,
it didn't work.
Nope. Pastors aren't.
No, it wasn't with me.
Pastors aren't counselors, y'all. They're not. They're not. They're not trained for that. But they often play that role. They often play the role of when something's going wrong in your marriage, you go talk to the pastor.
Right.
You don't go to a therapist. And lots of particularly evangelical, but lots of religious communities are very against secular therapy.
Yeah. Well,
because they're going to tell you, oh yeah, he's raping you. Yeah, go get him out of there.
Hey.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of there. Number 10, a former Liberty student. She lived with 2 siblings on campus who soon set her up with one of their family friends. That man later sexually assaulted her. What began as closing the door when they were together, which is against the code. You can't have a closed door if you're in a room with an opposite sex person, led to touching her legs, then fingering her against her will. It got worse, quote. As the relationship progressed, Doe 10's boyfriend compelled her to perform manual or oral sex on him with threats that he would injure her if she refused to do so, that he would injure himself, or that he would report her to the student conduct office for the sexual conduct they had already engaged in, directly taking advantage of the weaponization of the Liberty Way. This will be her fault, not his, that they engaged in sex. Right. In other words, he was using the school's own crazy policies to compel her into having sex with him. The next year at a friend's wedding, he raped her at their hotel. She told the roommates/siblings who initially set them up, and they told school officials. It didn't help. Surprise. Quote, although Doe 10 attempted to make clear that she was the victim of rape, Liberty University's student conduct office gave her no opportunity to do so and instead forced her to sit with her rapist and apologize to her roommates for her violation of the Liberty Way.
Kidding me. No, her roommates were the girls.
Yeah, that set her up with this guy.
My session just blanked out. Did you guys see that or no?
Mm-hmm. You glitched for a minute.
Okay, it just said my session's ended. Did I turn into a devil? Just
no, sadly,
it just froze momentarily.
All right.
Barely.
What was I saying?
The roommates were the girls that set her up with this guy.
Those are their brother, or no, it's just a friend.
Family
friend.
Right.
Oh
family
my
friend.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But and that makes me think of like stories that we've talked about before about like JWs when those investigations come up and you're gonna have to sit in the room with your rapist.
And relive it almost.
And
in
yes.
a way. Yeah. It's psychologically just damaging. Wow.
It's trauma. Like pure trauma.
Absolutely.
You will be shocked to know that the Title IX office never investigated the matter.
Oh.
I hope they sued the living shit out of them.
They did, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, good.
I got what, two more. Jane Doe 11, former Liberty student, began dating a Liberty student who may have had a wrestling scholarship. They had consensual sex, which was a violation of school rules. But once she didn't want to have sex, he raped her. She didn't report the incident because she feared Liberty would punish her for ever having consensual sex with him in the first place. And of course they would, especially given all the other stories that we've already read so far. The two of them also broke up at that time. But he began stalking her, following her on campus, parking next to her, and even threatening her life. She soon reported that threat to the Office of Student Conduct. Despite a stay-away order, the stalking continued. She filed for a restraining order in a secular court, but he violated that as well. Quote, the university never offered Doe 11 counseling, escorts, dorm, or class schedule changes, or otherwise supported her during the Title IX investigation. The investigation continued into 2020, and Doe 11's harassment continued during the same period. The only thing Liberty did was ban the wrestler from campus until she graduated. He'll be allowed on campus next year.
They don't care. They don't care about you, women.
Nope.
They do not give a shit about you. You are a tool. You're something to be used. You don't matter.
Yep. Jane Doe number 12, an adult who attended a summer debate camp at Liberty when she was a child. In 2000, during that camp, she forgot some notes in her dorm room and went back to get them. She ran into a man, Liberty football player Jesse Matthew, who told her he was going to go on a date with another debate student, but that she would do. The lawsuit says he grabbed her and carried her into a bathroom. Despite her screams, there was no help on the way. She eventually ran away from him, but he caught up to her, groped her, tried to strangle her, and eventually ran away while asking her not to call police. In her state of shock, she was unable to call 911, but a friend helped her call campus police. They soon caught Matthew, but things got worse after that. Quote, during the interrogation, the police required her to write 2 separate written statements and then accused her of fabricating her story when minor details between the two were not identical. During this time, at least one officer asked Matthews for an autograph, remarking that it would be worth a lot of money someday.
Oh my.
Officers told her he denied any contact with her. She reminded them there were security cameras available. Officers then changed their story and said he admitted contact, but it was consensual. She reminded them that it wasn't, and his DNA was under her nails because she had fought him. They said the DNA on her nails were probably the result of scratching his back during consensual sex. Then they threatened her with expulsion from camp for a very different reason. Quote, the police also told Doe 12 that she could be expelled from the camp because she was wearing pants in an academic building, which was at the time a violation of the Liberty Way. Her pants were, they suggested, the reason why she had been approached for sex. Doesn't matter what you wear. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you wear. Those police then told her to rescind her complaint or they'd charge her with filing a false report. She refused. They told her to strip naked as part of an investigation. She refused, saying only a doctor or nurse should be doing that. Police refused to take her to the hospital, too. She eventually allowed a female debate coach to photograph her naked body. Quote, the photographs were comprehensive, including a photograph in which Doe 12 was forced to lean over a desk and spread her butt cheeks for the camera. At the time, Doe 12 was 15 years old. Doe 12's mother and sole guardian was never contacted regarding the photographs and did not consent to such photographs. That's child pornography.
Yes.
Taking photos of a 15-year-old.
Oh my God. Like that, too? Why did they have
Yeah.
Was that necessary?
Holy shit.
Okay.
I'm glad this was the last one and not
Me
the
too.
first
I don't
one.
think I'm about to throw something myself.
Yep. When she was finally allowed to leave, the police required her to wash her hands, thus destroying DNA evidence. She soon found out other friends of hers had also been approached for sex by Matthew, but no one reported it because they feared getting expelled, quote, because their clothing had been too revealing. So again, could be pants, could be skirts, could be whatever. It's either way, it's because of your clothing. Oh, it's such a toxic environment. When Jerry Falwell Jr.'s sex scandal became public last year, Jane Doe 12 worried that her naked picture was being trafficked by the police to Falwell, though there's no evidence of that. Still, she sought counseling. As for Matthew, he was later accused of rape by another student. Separately, in 2015, he pleaded guilty to 2 murders. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison.
Well, at least he's in prison.
Oh my God! But he probably went to prison for the murders, but not the rapes.
Right. Yeah.
Right, but I mean,
yeah,
I know, but that's the thing is, if he had gone to prison before for the rapes, he would not have committed murder, probably.
Maybe.
Wow.
So the lawsuit these 12 women have come together to file claims that Liberty University enabled on-campus rapes while suppressing legitimate complaints of assault, rape, and harassment. There are 7 different charges listed in the suit, ranging from negligence to hostile environment to deliberate indifference. The women aren't asking for a specific dollar amount here, just typical court costs and whatever else is determined at an eventual jury trial. There is not a dollar amount that will make them whole.
No.
There's not.
No.
But the school should have to pay out of its nose to the point that they have to shut their doors.
Absolutely. They do not need to exist anymore. No. So that is, I feel like they're not trying to get rich. But they do need to hit them where it hurts.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they don't want money, but you know what? Make that school pay for everybody's counseling.
Yeah.
That's not, or whatever. I mean,
this is 12 women. This was years ago. Starting prior to 2015.
Yeah, right.
So imagine the stories that you're not hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes. Well, and this is, I mean, that's that's what we saw with the Me Too movement to start with, right? As soon as a few people are safe to, feel safe to come out and talk about this is what happened to me, that makes it a little bit safer for some other people to come out. And I hope if there is a silver lining, if there's a good thing to find in this story, I hope they destroy this place in court. But I hope that it makes it so that other people who experienced this at this school go get secular counseling to truly heal from this stuff. Like if I hope this sends a signal to those people, like, hey, it's safe to talk about this now, and there are ways for you to heal and work through it, and you'll never make it go away, but you learn how to live with it and manage it so that it doesn't take your life away from you. And I hope people will seek out good counseling.
And also, as this should be an example, this Liberty University should be an example to other religious schools to, like, hey, okay, we need to look at our policies, and we need to make sure this isn't happening on our campus, because otherwise we're going to get shut down too. They need to, make them an example, make an example out of them, shut them down. What is it? Where is there so much sexual depravity in a religious organization? Why is there? I don't get it.
It's there. I mean, there's a lot, I think, that's been written, said, and thought about around a lot of that. We're going to talk here in a little bit about some Catholicism, and I think, like, a lot of times we see, and I'm sure there's a correlation here, like with the Catholic leadership, when you've taken a vow of celibacy, and, like, I'm sorry, you are either a sexual being or you're not. We know that there are there are people for whom sex is just not an interest. It doesn't do a thing for them. But
That's not everybody.
But that's not everybody.
That's not.
And just like it's not something you can choose to do to be attracted to one type of person over another, or one whatever, like, just as much as that's not a choice, like, I'm just not going to have sex, it's not a choice either. Like, and so then you put yourself in this position where you say, okay, well, I'm just going to abstain from it. Well, we know abstinence doesn't work from another. We're going to talk about that later too. We know that doesn't work. Like, these are urges that are part of the human condition, and that are natural
and to deny
and normal.
it is,
But
then I guess so the repression is the reason, and then they deny it, and then they end up doing something really, really bad because of all of that, because they don't have a normal relationship with sex.
They look for a way to satisfy that craving within the framework of the repressive religion that they're living under, right? And so that's why it has to be young boys who we won't talk about it, right? Or that I have more control over to make sure that they, that they'll keep this a secret.
Or women, for the same reason.
Right.
Control, nobody cares about you, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or it's at this school where there's a track record of the men perpetrators being let get away with it, even when it is reported. Yeah. So speaking of that sort of thing, do you remember we talked about a Florida church pastor who got caught putting a cell phone video camera in the bathrooms? A few months ago, I think we talked about this. Florida Panhandle. I mean, this could be anybody.
It's Florida,
The youth director, David Nims, 37-year-old youth director at this Pensacola church, is in the Escambia County Jail following his arrest on 8 more video voyeurism charges. Pensacola News Journal reports. This is out of Click Orlando. It was the third arrest on similar charges in less than 2 months for the youth director at Calvary Baptist Church in Pensacola. The videos showed people using the restroom at the church. He was arrested June 7th after a 14-year-old boy saw a camera under a sink in the youth hallway of the church, according to an arrest report. He was released from jail later that day after posting $10,000 bond. Sheriff's investigators arrested Nims again on June 11th after they found more than 100 images of child pornography while executing a search warrant at his home, records show. He was booked, held on $10,000 bond, and released on June 14th. The latest arrest is also related to the search warrant that was executed on his home in June. During the search, deputies found 1 SD card and 4 micro SD cards in Nim's pants pocket. The cards contained videos of at least 8 people who were filmed without their knowledge while using the church restroom. What the fuck?
Pastor. Does the pastor?
Youth pastor.
Youth pastor.
Yeah, 37-year-old youth pastor.
I don't know how people continue. I don't know what I want to say. How do you continue to be okay with leaving your child in the care of the church, even if there is no evidence that there's anything wrong done yet? I just would have pause to put my child anywhere, like especially in a church environment.
Especially because we know that, like, okay, if a thing happens and it gets reported and whatever, if it's in the church environment, it doesn't go to the police.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't go any further.
In many places, religious authorities are exempt from mandatory reporting laws, and they shouldn't be.
That needs to change.
That's got to change. So then it's, well, we'll handle it internally. Like the Catholic Church is doing with all of their bullshit. and
Let's
then
move
nothing
you to
happens.
someplace else they don't know you. Let's
Yep.
move them, yeah, and then you can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Mm-mm.
This is the part that really, like, to tie this all back together. The church pastor Walt Magaha. He has he has MAGA in his last name.
Sorry.
All right, add that to the Spotify playlist. Pastor Walt told the newspaper his congregation was saddened by the arrest. Quote, "We stand ready as a church to provide care and ministry to anyone or any victims who come forward as we are informed." End quote.
Okay.
Now,
Hard
what they should
no.
have said
Hard
is,
stop.
"We will pay for your counseling to go to a
Hard
real, honest-to-God
stop.
counselor."
They're saddened by the arrest does not sit well with me.
No.
They're
I feel-
saddened to learn of that this was going on in their church would have read better to me.
Oh, yes,
But
absolutely.
to me, that's like, oh, we're sorry that he got arrested.
Yep,
Yeah.
right.
I'm sorry you got caught.
Crap, now we're going to have to hire a new youth pastor.
Right, like
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Sorry you got caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know how when I hate these bullshit apologies, like when someone hurts your feelings and then you ask them to apologize and then they say, "I'm sorry your
You.
feelings are hurt."
Yeah.
Not,
I'm sorry that
for
you.
what
I'm
I
sorry
did.
that you were offended by what I
Yeah.
said.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's don't give me no bullshit apology. Don't even. Wow.
Mm.
Okay, so talk to me about this this Catholic, Monsignor Jeffrey Burrill.
Monsignor Jeffrey Burrill, or whatever. So this is the guy that refused to give Biden communion,
Okay, yeah.
and I forget why, but
Well,
so he resigned recently amid, I guess, I don't even know how the investigation started or who tipped whoever off to look at his phone activity, but he had, I guess, been going on Grindr and
Like you do.
I mean,
as you do,
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yes.
But
Yes.
like,
But
first of all,
it's not fine because he took a vow of celibacy, you see, and
But
so it
as
violated
us-
the code.
outside the church, as normal people, who have a healthy sexual interest
Yes.
or whatever that is, you pursue it. You pursue whatever it is, and that's fine. But he felt the need to resign. I think maybe the church put pressure on him. I guess the church got a hold
sure
of
they
the.
did.
And there's an article that that we've read a couple of articles. We're still not sure like who tipped off the church to even look at this guy's mobile data records to know what he's been doing. And
there's like there's a missing piece of the story that I haven't seen yet. And again, we read like 2 or 3 articles right before the show start, but it seems like someone came to the church officials and was like, "Hey, so we're gonna release all of this stuff to the news media in a few days. Just thought y'all should know."
you want to get ahead of it.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So then they contracted a company to dig through like the cell data or app data to find like where this guy was and correlate it with, oh, he was on Grindr in I don't know,
So it's
in
such and such a time.
Chicago on the weekend that there was a Catholic event thing that he was there for. Like, what?
Yeah,
It's like-
I want to know who gets paid for that. Like
You're right.
what computer geek is sitting in a basement somewhere hacking into all this?
But that's not a bad gig.
No.
Uh-huh.
If you wanted to make some money from the church and you had and you were tech savvy enough
Mhm.
to hack into this shit, you could blackmail the pants off of these churches, be like, look, yo, Pope or Bishop, your boy over there is doing this. If you don't want me to tell him, you need to give me some money.
Yep.
And I think and you could just all you'd have to do is park yourself near church And
or
then
at Liberty
Mhm.
University, I bet
Oh,
you
or at
Oh,
Liberty
yeah.
University.
Oh,
And then if
yeah.
you're tech savvy, you could grab some of these mobile, all these mobile numbers, and then
Yeah.
you could just follow their activity. Um and again, nothing wrong with Grinder, nothing wrong with
No.
hookup apps if you're an
No.
adult, a consenting adult.
If it's
But
Right.
what is it? Healthy, if you're a healthy sexual being,
Yeah.
right,
and you know how to
you got to satisfy it in a consensual way with,
right.
it's fine, but
Mhm.
the church doesn't like it, and they want to keep that kind of stuff quiet. So I'm
Mhm.
not saying people go blackmail the church. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, but
You
I'm
heard
just
it
saying
here
there's so much
first.
there's so
Don't
much.
don't you work in a computer industry?
Weren't you
Yeah.
looking for a job?
I was, yes. So
I'm not
can
a
you-
hacker.
yeah.
I wish I was. You know what though? If I was, believe me, that would
Uh-huh.
already been that would have been happening already. I
Well,
would be
she
in a
found you
basement
a job
somewhere.
at the family, whatever. You just need to spin it now.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's what I would have been doing. But I guess
Ugh.
like the thing that is so he felt, I don't know, I'm sure the church pressured him to
Oh,
resign.
yeah.
But so you can molest a child, you can rape women, but if you're and that's okay, they sweep it under the rug, they
Mhm.
move you to a different church or wherever.
But consensual hookups with a
Right.
Yes, but
with
if
a-
you're gay,
with
even
a
and
gay,
maybe
right.
maybe not, a woman would not have even been that bad, but if you have hint of any type of homosexuality, now then you
Yeah.
have to resign. That is the straw,
Yeah,
Right.
mhm.
That's where we drew the
That's
line. Okay.
right.
Right.
So
It's
I
just
just
not
feel
a
like
good look.
it just reiterates the fact that women and children do not matter to the church,
Mhm.
No.
to religion or religious
Right.
people. I don't know.
Oh,
It's-
well, their only value is as pawns and
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
Because if women and
Absolutely.
children didn't matter, then there wouldn't be a problem with abortions. But it's
Yeah.
control. They want control
Yeah.
over it. and they-
Control.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, like
And-
this kind of again speaks to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with like when you're put into this organization where you've taken this vow of chastity and gay is bad,
Mm-hmm.
then you got to sneak around and get your gay
Mhm.
hookup.
Yeah.
And like is
Yeah.
what you got to
You
do.
that's what you got to do.
And like
That's
here's what I would tell this guy, like assuming he hasn't fucked any kids, which it's a
which I
Catholic
hope
church,
not.
who the hell
I hope
knows?
not. I
But
hope
like,
not.
here's what I would tell this guy, like, dude, being gay's fine.
Just go be gay.
Go be gay. Yeah, screw these assholes. Go be gay. It's
But
cool.
he brainwashed though. I mean, if you're
yeah.
a Monsignor, come on, it's not.
Yeah.
He bought into this shit. So
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he hates himself as much as he needs to fill that need. He hates himself as
Sure.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot going on there.
That's sad.
It is. It is.
All right, let's change gears a little bit. The next story I want to talk about is about vaccines. So we've been following this and covering this on a variety of shows that we've done. We've been looking at it here. We looked at it recently. Florida's spiking again, and the Delta variant, and which somebody's calling the MAGA variant, which I thought was hilarious.
Let's just call it what it is. It's the MAGA variant.
MAGA variant. I like it. I like it.
So like, and DeSantis just dug his heels in again in the last 24, 48 hours and was like, we are not going to lock down.
Yeah, no masks in
No
school.
matter what, no masks,
Send your
no
kids
lockdown.
to school.
Yep.
Let them die.
Yep.
Terrifying.
Yep.
It's terrifying.
And so I know we've talked about this just like briefly in passing a little bit, about fears that the Black community was going to resist vaccines in general, but this one, of course, right now in particular, because we don't have the greatest track record here in this country of bringing Black folks in and saying, here, this won't hurt, just hold still.
Trust us. You can
Trust
trust
us.
us.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So sure enough, there was a story here in the last couple of days. It was yesterday, of a couple from Georgia who died from COVID-19. And they cited the Tuskegee experiment for their refusal to get vaccinated against the coronavirus. This is from AL.com. Martin Daniel, 53, and his wife of 22 years, 49-year-old Trina Daniel, died in Savannah on July 6th, their family told WSB-TV in Atlanta. Martin was a graduate of Tuskegee University. His nephew told the television station that the 40-year-long Tuskegee syphilis experiment that started in the 30s and involved withholding syphilis treatment from black men in order to study the disease influenced his and his wife's decision not to get the COVID-19 vaccine. And they died within like hours of each other.
Oh my God.
Just tying these two events together and understanding the historical context of what's going on, said the nephew, Cornelius, it really wears on me sometimes. Cornelius said the Tuskegee experiment also made him reluctant to get vaccinated, but that he did eventually get his COVID-19 shot. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Tuskegee experiment? A little more detail, sort of what that all was?
It's really, really fucked up. Everybody ready for a drunk history experiment or not a drunk history lesson or
high
me.
History, right?
Teach me, Allie.
Oh, no. All right, let me get my notes. So 19 and valid reasons and with the distrust, valid reasons.
Oh, absolutely. No, I can totally understand why you would not want to trust the government. Totally get it. Yep.
Yeah, well, buckle up, guys. All right, 1932. Slavery's over, blah, blah, blah. But you've got white people, racist white people who still thought that they were superior to black people, and they had some really, really awful ideas, such as black people didn't experience pain the way that whites did because they thought they had a primitive nervous system.
And that still shows itself like in medical when you talk to like medical students and shit, they still talk about that in med school as like a real thing.
Absolutely. And you see it
So
in actual medical, like our medical what's happening today with women, pregnant women, or we don't get as much pain medication as other people do, so it's still there. And they thought that African men were uniquely fit for slavery because of their physical strength and their quote unquote simple minds, and just on and on. And so racist white people thought this kind of thing, and then science and medicine were all too eager to reinforce these ideas, even though their scientific understanding of race was just flawed, fundamentally wrong.
Well, and science and medicine performed by white people
in the 1930s.
That doesn't help.
Absolutely. In the 1930s, right?
Yeah.
And this was during the time when I guess the venereal diseases were running rampant, and then penicillin wasn't available yet. That became available in the 40s. One of the things that they thought was that black people were extremely prone to STDs like syphilis, and they blamed, so they had black people had low birth weight and high miscarriage rates, and so they were universally blamed on STDs. But I'm guessing it was more just to do with poverty, living conditions.
Right.
We still see that today.
Yeah.
Sure.
Access to medical care, money, that kind of thing.
Right.
So then they also believe that black people, regardless of their education or their background or their economic personal situation, could not be convinced to go to a doctor and get treatment for syphilis. If they had syphilis, they were not likely to go to a doctor. Duh. Hello, can't trust the government that enslaved, so yeah. So because of that, I think it was the United States Public Health Service they felt like they were able to justify the Tuskegee study, and they called it a study in nature, which instead of an experiment, which really just meant that they wanted to observe the natural progression of syphilis within a community that wouldn't seek treatment. Fucked up. So here's what the experiment was. So they started with 600 Black men. 399 of them had syphilis, and then 201 did not have the disease. Now, these men were pretty much misled because of what they were told as how this was going to be conducted. They technically did not get informed consent. So because they were misled, they really technically didn't get informed consent. They were told that these men were told they were being treated by quote unquote bad blood, or treated for bad blood, which back then was a term for like anemia,
right?
Fatigue, also included syphilis, but it was just a general term that they used. And so in exchange for taking part in the study, they were promised free meals, free medical exams, and then also burial insurance if something happened to them.
Wow.
Because it was, I mean, funerals are expensive, and so
sure,
they didn't want they were looking out for their family. I mean, so they were misled and then dangled this carrot. It was awful. But so for the infected, they told that the treatment would last 6 months, and that the treatment that they gave them were just like ointments and capsules, but they were purposefully ineffective. And in fact, these researchers that were running the experiment were actively working to make sure that these guys did not receive treatment. They provided a list to the county, I think it was Macon County, and then also the Alabama Health Department, and they asked them to not treat these men if they ever came in
somewhere
for
else.
Yeah. And then also, during that time, I think it was like the 1940s when they were drafted. Some of them may have been drafted for the Army. And then if they got into the Army and then it was discovered that they had syphilis, then they were removed from the Army, but they were still asked not to treat these guys.
Wow.
It's crazy. So then, even when penicillin, I don't know when it was became available, sometime in the 1940s. But then by this time, the STDs were publicly funded. So if you had a venereal disease, you could go get treated, but still trying to prevent them from getting treated. And it wasn't until 1972, 40 years later, some guy, and I don't know if he was part of the research team or if he was a reporter, but he leaked the information to the New York Times. Otherwise, it would have continued. This is 40 years. And so I was not born yet, but I was born in 73. So this was a year before I was born.
Okay.
It's not that long ago.
No.
Not that long ago. And then by this time, 74 of the test subjects were still alive, because 120 patients had died. 40 of their wives had been infected, and that meant 19 of their children had been born with congenital syphilis.
Wow. So
mass public outrage, of course. NAACP gets involved, and after 2 years, the Tuskegee, Institute settled $10 million with the families that were remaining, and they agreed to pay the medical treatments for all the surviving participants and their infected family members, in the last of those who died in 2009.
Wow.
So yeah. So there you go. This is where the distrust comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the experiment was on its premise was it's like, oh well, Black people don't go to the doctor, so
Right.
we can do this. But then
Right. We're
they further
providing you medical
enforced,
care too.
yeah, but they further enforced the reason that Black
Right.
people don't go to the doctor,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's awful. But
Mm.
yeah, you can like Google that and
Wow.
you know,
Yeah. But
not
I think my takeaway from this story too of like this 53 and 49.
They're not.
Um,
I mean,
Jesus. The
that's young. I mean,
that's
it's
young.
really young.
I don't, I'm around that age, so
Yeah.
I feel like that's still young.
It is young.
It is young.
Yeah.
Young enough to I know I won't say that the government it doesn't mean us harm, but there's been laws in place since then. There has been an act was passed in Congress right after that to make sure that you can't those types of experiments without explicit consent.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things that have been put in place since
Mhm.
then. And also the trials are voluntary, and you will know, they'll tell you what you're being signed up for or volunteering for. But the
Right.
COVID thing was necessary, and
Mhm.
everyone is taking the shot. It's not just, if it was just a certain group of people,
Right.
but this is for everyone. And I just,
You know,
Right.
though,
I
I can
get it, I
understand
get
it though, because
Mhm.
I
I get it.
I
Especially
get it.
when I go on my website to check in for my doctor's office
Mm-hmm.
to go get whatever I need. I have to go get B12 shots. But there's like a
Mhm.
form that I have to fill out, and I have to tell them if I'm white, Hispanic, Black, whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and I can understand the mistrust, especially if you're
absolutely.
filling out forms like that. Well, they know
Why do you
by
gotta
my
know?
form. Why do you
Mhm.
want to know what vial are you giving me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
can totally
Yeah,
understand
Yeah.
why people would be terrified of the COVID
absolutely.
vaccine, knowing that
Mhm.
is something that is in our history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it too. I totally get it. I
I-
mean, and this is just one of many
Oh
things that
yeah.
they probably did. One that came out,
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, this is more like this holds way more weight as far as like fear of getting a vaccine that might cause harm than
Mhm.
the vaccine that might have a microchip in it.
Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
Yeah. And I think
I get it.
one of my takeaways from this is like, if I were the Department of Health and Dr. Fauci and whoever, like, let me see that data again. Black folks aren't getting the COVID vaccine. Okay, find me some real prominent, like popular Black folks, entertainers, performers, athletes, whatever,
whoever.
and we're gonna run a public campaign
Where's Oprah
of
and Obama
right, like,
Yeah,
look, y'all, I got mine. I'm fine. Go get yours. This,
Yeah.
Right.
there's some sort of public trust campaign.
yeah,
something.
yeah. Because I know, like, those public figures have built more trust than any government or
Right.
medical,
Yeah.
establishment.
And even if
So,
it's
yeah.
not government driven, like, right, my thought was, oh, we're going
Right.
to run PSAs and that sort of thing, like,
Right.
and
Government or
that comes
medical.
from the government too. But if I'm a prominent Black artist,
Right. Well, like the way
I would be out
MTV,
pushing that too.
Beyonce or
the way
whatever.
Yeah.
MTV came out in the
People
90s
listen.
and was like, let's rock the vote and did
Yeah.
all that stuff, like to their
Amazing.
audience. Like
Right.
we don't live in that world anymore though, so it's hard to find what speaks to people.
Yeah. True. It's like if a celebrity came out and said something, they would just they probably don't want to risk the backlash on either side because they're
Yeah.
worried about their career.
Sure.
So like if a celebrity came out and said, well, don't get vaccinated, oh my goodness,
Right.
anti-vax, oh my goodness, they would
Right.
lose their career.
Yeah.
And then adversely, if they did say, publicly, and there are some that say, get vaccinated, but still they do risk.
Well, I mean, like
Yep.
the Hamilton cast did a PSA,
The whole thing.
a
Yeah.
whole thing about it. Like
Good.
like there were some like popular people in the entertainment community that did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like it's going to be real hard to find.
But I think we need to be thinking about this again because
Yeah.
Again, we're starting to see the thing ramp up again, and numbers
Mhm.
are spiking again, and the Delta variant is extremely contagious. And I
Yeah.
read an article just today about AdventHealth is starting to limit visitors again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like
Well,
the medical profession is going off. Fuck, here we go again. Like,
right.
Mhm.
so that's the the groundhog seeing its shadow for me. Like when
Yep.
when medical experts are going, well, we need to,
Here we go
Mhm.
again.
yeah, here we go
Well,
again.
And we are 2 weeks away from school starting here.
Right. And yeah,
And I'm
the
like-
kids are all gonna go back to school
I was
and pass
No
the rain.
masks.
I was no mask mandate.
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
voluntary, and yeah, right. How are you going to make your kid? You know,
Right.
Mm.
So it's just
I'd be terrified.
and
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
and like our kids are both under vaccination age.
Right.
Yeah.
Like our oldest won't even be eligible until March unless they pass something for
Yeah.
under 12.
Emergency.
They,
Yeah.
And
Like
and
right
they
now
were
they need to
were
pass it.
saying
Right.
September, but September might be too late if school starts in August and
Yeah.
all of these kids, 800 kids, are in a building sharing the cafeteria and
Back
the
to normal.
bathrooms and back to normal.
Bathrooms,
Yeah.
touching
there's
doors,
no,
and
Yep.
I don't know.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
No mask mandate is ridiculous for children. Come on.
Right. Well, that's the thing I don't understand.
Yep.
Like there should be a mandate for anybody who cannot be vaccinated.
Right. And has to be among a crowd of people.
Like
Well,
if you have 800 kids in a school that are under 12 years old,
Yep.
why are they not wearing masks when you know they're like what Orange County right around the corner from us has a spike in numbers, right?
Mm.
I was reading something about how their numbers are just
Florida
reaching to-
right now is
right?
number one. And,
But
we
we're-
don't win
We're
it much,
number one.
but
We're
but
number
that's
one.
where we're winning at. We've got the number.
But
of
we're
number one
next to
ranked.
like Orange County,
Yeah.
but all the kids in my kids' school have parents that work in Orange County.
Mhm.
Right.
So they're coming. They're bringing it home.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
just-
It's gonna spin right
It's-
back up again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah.
going to be all the schools, and it's going to be
It's gonna be the kids.
the kids.
Yep.
And
Yeah. And if Meemaw dying from the COVID at the nursing home wasn't enough for people to take this thing seriously,
Little Billy Bob
Look,
is gonna.
will it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
What's
Well,
it
they
gonna
were
take?
real
What
quick
is it
to
gonna
close
take?
the schools because the kids are vulnerable. And now the kids are the only ones that aren't vaccinated
Right,
yet.
they're
but
only
gonna
ones
just
that are
push them back
vulnerable.
in there, and they're not going to do any. I'm just. I
What?
don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing's changed. It's still.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's so.
Anyway.
Yep. Anyway, the next story. Go get your vaccine, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody go get
Get that,
vaccinated. The next story comes to us back again from the Friendly Atheist. This is about a family planning program in Iowa that is not anymore. In 2017, the then governor Terry Branstad signed a new budget bill that rejected $3 million in federal Medicaid dollars for the Iowa Family Planning Network waiver, partial insurance for low-income patients that covers reproductive care, and replaced it with a state-run family planning program that forbids recipients from using it for cares at providers like Planned Parenthood that also offer abortions. So we got rid of the federal dollars from their program. We're going to do our own program, and it's going to be great. You just can't use that anywhere that they do abortions.
Mhm.
So then 4 of the state's 12 Planned Parenthood facilities closed, which took away like vital education that could have prevented women's need for an abortion in
Birth
the first
control,
place,
blah, blah,
and
blah.
all of that
Cancer
stuff.
screening.
Right.
Mhm.
And so here are the results. We have the data. The number of abortions performed in Iowa climbed in this time nearly 14% in 2020
No shit.
after jumping 25% the prior year.
Ooh.
The turnaround in abortion numbers came in the wake of Iowa's 2017 decision to withdraw from the federally funded program, which helped thousands of Iowans gain birth control supplies and information on how to prevent pregnancy and STDs. The program was replaced with the state-run version, which barred Planned Parenthood's participation and has served fewer Iowans. It also comes amid a series of laws the legislature and governor approved that attempt to limit abortion in Iowa. Here, kitty, kitty,
Sorry.
kitty, 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 kitty.
She has things to say about this too.
Yeah, she's pissed too.
In other words, they tried to restrict abortion as well as education about contraception. And the pro-life crowd was responsible for an increase in the number of abortions across the state. We have been preaching this to you. If you want to reduce unwanted pregnancies, teen pregnancies, STD, STI transmission rates, the number of abortions, the way you do that is to provide access to comprehensive
Condoms.
sex education, condoms,
Birth control.
birth control. Yeah, you
'Cause
make it available.
They ain't gonna stop fucking. So
No.
you might as well just
Make it
teach
safe.
them. Yeah, make it safe. Oh Lord. What do
Kitty
you have?
agrees.
Come on. Come on up here. All right then.
We got the receipts.
My gosh, talk about, let's see. Oh man.
Come on.
Yeah. By the way, the Supreme Court will be hearing an abortion case in the next session that could be dangerous and make things worse for everybody.
Jesus.
The new statistics mean Iowa's abortion rate has shot up a total of 42% between 2018 and 2020.
Wow.
Over the previous decade, the number had dropped 56%. Where's Kathy? Is Kathy still in the chat?
Kathy, are you still
she was
over
in the
there?
chat earlier. The folks like Kathy at Planned Parenthood knew this all along.
Of course they did.
It's certainly what we warned Iowans would happen if the agency was barred from the public family planning program, said Jamie Birch Elliott, Director of Public Affairs for Planned Parenthood Advocates of Iowa.
You need to send this article over to your group.
Oh, I'm sure they have it.
Oh no, I don't know. I think you should send it anyway.
Yeah, so there you go. Turns out getting rid of Planned Parenthood, bad for all the outcomes that you claim to care about.
Yeah. Duh.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah. Duh.
duh.
Big duh.
Yep. And then finally tonight, this is the last story, right? I'm pissed about all the things to be
Good
pissed about.
Lord, I wish this was a joke.
Have you been watching the Olympics?
Of course she has.
Yay,
She was watching
Olympics.
the opening
Yeah.
thing
I was
earlier. I
it's
saw.
early this morning. I'm like, is there anyone else up watching besides me and my friend?
If it's streaming
Yeah.
on the Roku, I might watch some of it, but otherwise, no, I probably won't see any of it.
Okay, first of all,
I like the Olympics.
I like
do too.
the
I do
win.
too.
I love the
Oh.
Winter Olympics.
See,
I like
okay.
them both. I would watch them
Okay.
all.
I like for summer. I like gymnastics, and I like yeah, I like gymnastics.
That's okay. For winter,
For winter,
I like curling
no,
Oh, I love
And-
curling.
no.
Curling is awesome.
and
No.
curling.
no.
Yeah.
So for winter, I like figure skating, all of them, speed
like
skating, hockey.
Mm.
I like the
Yeah,
ice.
yeah,
And the
Yeah.
bobsledding is always fun.
Yeah, the speed skating for sure. The luge or the whatever those
Yeah.
they go through the tunnel.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's pretty
That's
cool. I'm with you.
nuts.
Yeah.
Snowboarding, I like.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's right. There's a lot of that too.
Yeah,
See,
don't
I
care
like the Winter
skiing.
Olympics.
See, I do too.
It's probably because I
Summer
grew up on
Olympics.
the beach and it was very,
Boring.
very hot, and I liked watching all the
Not.
cold stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what most
But-
people
but
like?
I do love gymnastics. I've always loved gymnastics.
Absolutely. Gymnastics number one. Diving. too.
Diving
no,
is
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
Diving is
That's
good.
fair.
Rowing is good too.
No,
Rowing,
that's boring.
yeah.
No.
Soccer.
Rowing
no.
is like golf to me.
Oh,
Like maybe if I'm doing it, it might be more interesting, but to watch it,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I like everything. I mean, I'll even watch the sports that I don't care about just because I know these kids.
yeah.
They start from a young age. They dedicate their
Yeah.
lives, and it's worth me giving them my time. And I'm honestly, I don't care who they're, what country they're from. I just
No.
like
Right.
to
No.
see it.
Yeah.
I just like to see it, you know.
Yep.
I think I said earlier, but I am rooting for all the Black people though.
Uh-huh.
You did, yes.
Yeah, I did see
Uh,
that.
Yes.
I don't care what country
Absolutely.
you're from. I'm for everybody Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
Well,
anyway, what was your point?
well, that I don't care. I haven't been watching it. I'm not interested in it. And I also think it's really fucking dumb that we've decided let's get all nations together
Okay.
in the middle of a pandemic.
That is
yeah,
true.
that is
That
true.
is very
That is
true.
true. It is
But
still.
I remember field day in elementary
Mm.
school.
That was
and
so much fun.
We did hardcore like Olympic style field day. Every single class was assigned a different country, and leading up to the field day, we learned about the culture of the country and all this stuff. We made food, we made shirts, and then like there was this huge park like 3 blocks from our school, and we had a parade, and all of the classes dressed up, and they wore
like
their
the Olympic procession
yeah,
sort of thing.
and
Yeah.
we had
that's
flags,
cool.
and we paraded through the neighborhood to the park, and then we had a huge, and everybody, it was so fun.
That was amazing.
It was so cool. That was like my favorite thing every year to do in elementary school.
Question.
But that's why I like the Olympics.
Question. If you were, I don't know, representing, say, a beach handball team in this particular school activity, skimpy bathing suits, was that part of the part of the thing? Is that a thing that you did? Wear skimpy bathing suits?
No,
Yeah.
it was against school dress
No,
code.
didn't have to wear short shorts.
We weren't allowed to. We weren't allowed to show skin. But go on. Which point? Also, I've played beach volleyball, and I've also played regular volleyball, like just with regular clothes on.
Mhm.
You're
I've
right.
played in my bathing suit. I've played in my shorts. I don't want to play volleyball in a bathing suit.
No, who
No,
would want
Sand
to?
gets up
Sand
your
just
crotch.
everywhere. You
And
gotta pick it
anywhere.
out. I mean, no.
You gotta have
Yeah.
like a handheld hose to get into all the crannies. Go on.
I say, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Sky says we like the wrestling here, and that's about it.
Mm.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It turns out, women, particularly in Olympic sports, it doesn't matter what they wear. It's wrong.
Absolutely.
We're- that's kind of the theme of tonight, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Women, we're just wrong all the time. No matter what we do. The Norwegian women's beach handball team were fined because their shorts were too long. British Paralympian Olivia Breen was told by an official that her briefs were too short, and Olympic swimmer Alice Deering won't be allowed to wear a swimming cap for natural black hair at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics.
Motherfucker.
Nobody
We
do nothing
can't
right.
win.
Can't
we
win.
cannot win. I
Wait.
swear.
The
Swimming
swimming
cap?
cap thing really pisses me off too.
Yeah, I think they've changed that. They reversed it because I read about that like a month or so ago, and I was pissed because I am a black woman with sorry. Cat. The cat dismounted, I say, that was a good dismount. I have a lot of hair.
Yes,
There is-
see it.
There's no fucking way that I could get all of this under those tiny
No.
little caps that they give. They
Mm-mm.
make them for the default person, which is a white
Right.
person,
Right.
because you can push the hair down. But you can't.
No.
So if
Right.
I wanted to be a swimmer, I
You have
couldn't.
to-
I
you said
have
no.
to cut my hair.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
that or cut my hair, and they do make, like, as of a few years ago, they started making special caps for black women because they recognize our
Because there's
hair
a
is
need.
just-
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But before we weren't in the sport that much, honestly,
Mhm.
and so that's
Well, now
probably
there's
why.
a need, and now
Well, now
we need
there's
to
a need.
address that need.
And then they're fighting it though, saying it's like not, they don't want to give it to us. Come on, let us help us.
But here's the bitch of that whole thing. Okay, so it wasn't a need. You know what? 40 years ago, women weren't allowed to wear bikini bottoms in public.
Yeah.
So why is
That's
the
true.
handball team getting?
Right.
Wait. Okay. Question. Handball? Is it volleyball?
It's
Or is
volleyball.
it something else?
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
Why
volleyball
are they calling it handball?
because they're Norwegian. It's like
Oh.
soccer, football.
Oh.
Oh, got it. Okay. Beach handball. Okay.
It's beach
sorry.
handball. It's volleyball.
Well, first, I think women
It's
should
because
be able to wear.
It's because you use your hand to.
And makes sense.
Right.
But
I mean, I get it, but Like we call football, and
Football.
we don't
use
you
our
don't use your
foot.
feet. You carry the
But-
ball and run with
And
it.
then
It's because the field is measured by foot.
Listen,
No, it's not. It's measured by yard.
listen.
I don't know. You kick
We're-
it with your foot?
Look,
Who
we're
fucking
moving
knows?
on.
only
So this
only during
article,
a punt.
this
Anyway,
article is
sorry.
from yesterday.
Mhm.
Because it's July 22nd. Yeah, and it says the games hadn't even begun, and the run-up is already fraught with debate on what female athletes should or shouldn't wear. This is from the Raw story. Double Paralympic world champion Olivia Breen is the latest Olympic athlete to be caught in a sartorial storm after competing in the long jump at the English Championships in Bedford on July 18th. An official said her briefs were too short and inappropriate. Quote, she said to me that I should consider wearing shorts because my briefs were too revealing, Breen told France 24. I was so taken by surprise and gobsmacked that I asked her if she was joking. She said no and insisted I should buy a pair of shorts. Writing about the incident on a Twitter post, Breen pointed to a double standard regarding athletic dress codes and questioned whether male athletes would be subjected to the same level of scrutiny. Quote, I've been wearing the same style sprint briefs for many years. I recognize that there needs to be regulations and guidelines in relation to competition kit, but women should not be made to feel self-conscious about what they're wearing when competing. They should feel comfortable and at ease. The 24-year-old says she was in full compliance with athletic uniform regulations, which allow athletes in her department to wear sponsor gear, the briefs, as long as they also don a club vest or national kit. Their outfits cannot be objectionable or see-through. Breen filed an official complaint to England Athletics on Monday, but says she hasn't heard anything back. The young athlete is set to take part in the Tokyo Paralympics this August and intends on wearing the contentious briefs. I'm not letting them stop me from wearing them. I'll be wearing them in Tokyo, she said. Damn right you will. Get it, girl. Racist measures and double standards. Breen's case is in no way singular. Alice Deering, the first black swimmer ever to represent Team Great Britain at the Tokyo Olympics, will not be allowed to wear the swimming cap made specifically for natural black hair she has been promoting. Earlier this month, the International Swimming Federation banned the use of swimming caps made specifically to protect dreadlocks, afros, weaves, braids, and thick curly hair for the 2021 Games. Soul Cap, the company behind the swimming caps, were told by FINA that it was because their product doesn't fit, quote, the natural form of the head.
Fuck you.
Oh,
Fuck
man.
off. Our hair,
Mhm.
you can't plaster, even if I plastered my head, all my hair to my head, it would not be shaped like the natural
Right.
form
Well,
of my
and
head.
here's the thing: even if you don't have dreads,
Right.
Yeah.
It's
black
thick.
black hair, like
It's fucking
Yeah.
thick.
I mean,
It's
I
thick.
have thick hair, but I know, like, I have friends who I'm like, man, how do you? I look at your hair and I go, I couldn't do it
It's a
because I
lot.
can't even deal with mine. I have to shave half of my head off, just half of my hair
Half of your
off.
head.
Well, I mean,
Just
and
to deal
anyone
with-
really with thick hair, if
But
you think about
anybody
it.
with thick
Right.
hair, if it's
Yeah.
longer and thick on top of being thick, it's just
Right.
not.
Not gonna go under that cap. It's not.
Mm-mm. I can't. Like, this is.
It's
It's,
just like, so they're like
This is-
saying,
this-
in essence, aren't they saying like you can't be a swimmer you can't compete in the Olympics because
Olympics,
of
if you
who
can't-
you
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
What did I say? Olympics, because of
Yeah.
yeah,
your body and who you are,
Yep.
and
right.
what you were born to be.
And maybe there's is particularly in this swimming thing, maybe there is some assumption there of like, when you think about like, what does it take to be an Olympic swimmer? You've got all of these people that are like waxing every hair from every part of their body to get in any millisecond faster that they
Yes.
can get of
Right.
like whatever. Like,
Mhm.
so what are you trying to say? Like, oh, because my hair is big, it's not like
She could
that's not
probably-
okay.
Well,
Like you're not gonna
no,
swim well. You're
it's-
not gonna.
It's because they even like, and this is a thing that I never understood. There's so many guidelines with the Olympics: what you can wear, what you can't wear,
Yeah.
what you can do, what you can't do,
Mhm.
on or off the spotlight. But they want everybody to fit into this cookie cutter mold, which is crazy when you look at all the different countries
Yes.
are competing.
Yes.
It's one of the most diverse games
But
ever.
by
because
design.
By design, it's supposed
Yeah.
to be this diverse thing, but they can't even embrace diversity in
Right.
their guidelines.
In their rules.
Yep.
Right.
And it just blows my mind that this is an issue. Like, and it hurts my heart because it makes me wonder, how long has it been going on that people go to the Olympics and give up parts of themselves just to conform to these guidelines?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Preach.
In yet another effort to sanction female athletes for their uniforms, the European Handball Federation fined the Norwegian women's beach handball team 1,500 euros for wearing shorts instead of bikini bottoms at the Euro 2021 championships, calling
Which
it
is it? Is it too revealing? Is it not? I mean,
Right.
what the fuck?
Yep, can't win. Calling it a case of improper clothing, the EHF said players didn't abide by athlete uniform regulations, which require women to wear bikini bottoms, quote, with a close fit and cut on an upward angle toward the top of the leg,
High cut.
end quote.
Just say all up in the crack. I mean, just say it.
Yeah.
We want to
Right?
see
They
your
might as well just
ass.
write that in there. Just
Right.
like,
And are determined by the International
The
Handball
next part
Federation.
pisses me the fuck off.
which is all men, I bet.
Male beach handball players, on the other hand, are free to wear shorts as long as 10 centimeters above the knee, just as long as they aren't too baggy. So,
Too
How-
bad.
so this is about performative. This is performative. This is about women performing for the male gaze.
Yeah.
That's what these rules are about.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see your ass, ladies.
Yeah.
That's
Because-
all this is.
People are
Right,
going
we
to
don't-
tune in to see your half-naked
Right.
body. They're
Right.
not going to come
Ain't nobody
out
gonna
for...
watch just for the game.
Yeah.
Right. We don't value what you're
So
contributing
it's
to the game.
not about your skill set.
Right.
Right.
It's about how good you look in that bikini bottom.
Right.
Oh,
Which
I hate it.
which is just it's the fucking Olympics. So
Right.
it should be about your skill set, not
right.
anything else.
Right.
And if I can play volleyball in a freaking house coat,
Yeah. Right.
y'all can fuck yourselves.
Yes.
The team had approached the EHF before the competition asking for permission to play in shorts. They were told that any breach of protocol would be met with fines. Although beach handball isn't part of the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, it's a stark reminder of the glaring double standards held when athletic uniform regulations are devised. Who decides? The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, the authority in charge of organizing the Olympic Games, says it is not responsible for establishing and enforcing uniform regulations. Instead, it's up to international federations for each individual sport to decide what the appropriate attire for each gender group is. According to the most recent Olympic charter published by the IOC, they have the, quote, sole and exclusive authority to prescribe and determine the clothing and uniforms to be worn and the equipment to be used by the members of their delegations on the occasion of Olympic Games. International sports federations don't make their criteria for athletic uniform regulations public. France 24 tried to contact FINA in England Athletics for comment, but received no response. Helen Jefferson Linsky. There's
Bless you.
thanks.
I mean, or I'm sorry, Godzilla. I'm sorry.
Science.
It's Lindsay.
God.
Lensky.
I would not
There's a
pronounce
J
I
at the
know
end of
there's
that.
a J at the end, but I would not pronounce that J.
A professor at the University of Toronto and author of The Olympic Games, A Critical Approach,
Could be Linskage.
says uniforms, we're going to call her Helen. That's what we're
Helen.
going to call her.
Helen's good.
Says uniform decisions are based on either practical considerations related to the demand of the sports, traditional roots like the GI for martial arts, or gender differentiation. Some federations, that's dumb too. Some federations also argue that their decisions are purely based on performance, or others that they ensure fairness. But Helen says sees clear gender discrimination at play, especially given that many federations are still largely run by men. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Of course they are. Sports judged on aesthetics, like figure skating, have clothing rules consistent with judges' often stereotypical views of what a feminine skater should look like. Women's beach volleyball uniform regulations are based solely on heterosexual sex appeal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 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 If I say make those men wear those Speedos.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? And that's the funny thing, because
Be budgie smugglers or whatever.
Right.
there are plenty of countries that would be perfectly normal to go
Oh,
out on the
yes.
beach and see
Yeah,
men
in
in
Europe,
Speedos in
that's-
Europe. So
yeah.
Yeah.
like what's wrong with that? But
Yeah. So this this committee, is this like this is a global thing though? This
Yeah.
or is
This is for the
this-
games.
Okay, just for the games. Okay.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
because
so-
they're all global, and I know that like you said, Becca, there's countries in Europe that don't have the issues with bodies that we
Right.
have, that Americans have.
right.
It makes you wonder, like, is there pressure for the TV audience in America? Like,
Our
I'm sure that-
sensitive eyes.
you know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, well, our
Yeah.
sensitive eyes, but them girls better have their asses hanging out. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
oh, I don't want to see the
Well,
sausage
But and
in
here's-
your
and this
Yeah,
is,
that's true.
shorts.
It
But
makes no sense. It's like it makes no sense.
it's so lopsided and like I don't know, because
Inconsistent.
women
It's-
don't breastfeed your baby in public,
right.
right? But I'm gonna go home and watch the Olympics and I want to
I
make
wanna
sure
see
that
the-
it, like
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the only reason I watch is because of the beach ball.
and is
That
it, but then
some
it's like,
guys.
but then it's like,
some-
oh well, I raped her because she was wearing
right.
Right. provocative
I-
clothing.
Oh my god, we cannot.
Like
win.
there's no winning.
There's
Like
no
if you're
winning.
a woman, you're just
You're
just
fucked.
give up. You're fucked.
You're fucked. What do you do? Do you cover up, or do you let it out? You know,
Right.
you cover up, you get called a prude. You'll never get married, or blah blah blah. You know, that kind of thing. But then you
They shame
don't
you
cover
if you
up.
do. They shame you if you don't.
Right.
You're a slut. If you don't.
Yep.
And then you're asking to be raped, and then I mean, like,
Yeah.
we can't win.
It's-
We can't win.
Yep.
No.
There's no winning. It's all about control. It's maddening. So much to be mad about. I don't want to be mad. What can we be happy about?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the Olympics are happening, so I'm happy about that because I'm gonna be up like 10 o'clock on because they're 12 hours ahead. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to watch as much as I can because I really, really do appreciate all of the sports. It's fun. But yeah, I'm happy about that.
I'll see you in a few years at the Winter Games.
But you know what? That reminds me of I know you probably don't watch tennis, but Serena, a few years ago, she decided to, after she had her baby, she decided to come out with a cat suit instead of the traditional,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Remember the traditional cute little skirt.
Mhm,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness, they were up in arms about that, and I think
Oh,
that they
yeah.
tried to like
Oh, she caught
ban
so
that
much hell
too,
for
but-
that.
yeah, she did, but she's still wearing those cat suits,
Mhm.
so it's like they don't like different, and I don't know.
No, well, and that's isn't it interesting though? If it's a woman who tries to change things up, oh no, you can't do that. But if a man tries to change it up, then
Yeah, it's fine.
No
Oh,
big deal.
yeah, it's a
Mhm.
great idea. Yeah,
Like, it's stupid.
we're
I'm tired
mad.
of this sexist world.
Final
mad.
note from the chat. Sky says, even in school, we were told the kids could not have locks, braids, designs, edging, etc. Very strict with black hair in schools now. Yeah, that's some bullshit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Some straight up bullshit too.
Oh, I had to take my daughter to the hairstylist and have them bleach out her tips because
Just, it was still purple.
she
well,
had purple
pink.
hair from COVID
washed
and it's
out.
faded out into pink, and it's only like this much.
They don't
But
allow
but-
your
If your hair is not a natural color,
Mhm.
really.
but you know
in
what?
school?
My argument to that is purple is a natural color. You go out in the forest and you can find purple flowers
Purple.
anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is a natural color. So
But,
I didn't know
you know.
that because I see kids all the time.
And that's-
Well,
doing
some
the
schools,
temporary-
some schools are not as
right.
strict. But our
Ah,
school, they updated and they made sure to send it out to everybody. They updated their appearance policy and guidelines and student handbooks and all this nonsense. And
Yikes.
and I mean, we've been there for however long, 6 years, something like that. So I have friends that have girls that are like in middle school now that have gone through a growth spurt, and they cannot find clothing that meets the guidelines
Right.
because they're so tall, and the
Right.
shorts have to be, and I'm like, I'm
They
not
don't-
looking
it's like-
forward to that, because
No.
like right now it's easy with our son because he's whatever, he'll wear khaki shorts, but the girls' guidelines are so much stricter.
Yep.
And I'm like, I am not looking forward to this because I know my daughter's going to be tall,
Yeah.
and I know that I'm going to have these problems.
And it's
I'm
going to
just like,
happen
Mhm.
suddenly as well. It's
yeah,
going to be
well, that's right. Like, it's just going to be basically overnight.
one summer, she's going to
Yep.
grow like through not 10 inches, but like 3-4
Mhm.
inches. And
Mhm.
I don't know. Have you seen Sarah's nieces? They
Yeah,
might
they're.
get 10 inches in a
It
summer.
could be. Yeah.
it happens. And
But yeah, like it's the guidelines for schools are just as ridiculous as some of these Olympic
Mhm.
Games guidelines. It's like,
it does.
first of all, they're kids and they should
Yeah.
just be able to,
Well-
like, I agree. Like, I like uniforms and dress codes at schools because I feel like it puts them all on the same playing
Yes,
field.
there's an equity to it.
When
that-
I was in
Yeah.
6th grade, I got a pencil shoved in my back. And the excuse given was, well, you had nice new clothes and I didn't.
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah.
stuck with me. Like,
Yeah.
like there are
Mhm.
kids that can't get new clothes for the school year. And I
Right.
was fortunate. I
Yeah.
always did. My
Yep.
mom took us
I was
out.
one
They-
of them. I was
we
I was
got-
one of those kids that couldn't get it. So
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it was like, and
Yeah.
so I like that schools are starting to implement uniforms and dress codes and
yeah.
that stuff for that reason. But
Yeah.
And
Don't
also
don't go
just-
too far.
I can't
Yeah.
have purple streaks in my hair. Come on.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
I like the fact that it takes if everybody's wearing the same thing, it takes Godzilla.
I like that.
we usually go science.
I like Godzilla though.
Yeah, Godzilla's good. I
People
like
don't see that one coming.
Yeah. It takes the focus off of like, oh, what is she wearing? What is and like no, and everybody looks the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what
yeah.
the heck was I saying though? I forget what I was saying.
It'll come
Anyway.
back to you. Let me talk about so I made this joke earlier, but like for legit serious, the Disney grooming guidelines that we hired in under,
Oh gosh.
it was so controlling to the point of like
That's crazy.
men couldn't have earrings at all. Women's earrings had to be if it was a stud, it had to be smaller than a dime, and if it was a
if it was a hoop, it had to be smaller than a quarter. Yeah.
Your makeup had to be natural tones, your hair had to be natural color.
Hold on a minute, because I'm having like some triggered flashbacks. Okay. So I have a tattoo.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
you couldn't have visible
I have
tattoos.
a tattoo in the back of my neck. But I always got pinged on Disney Look for the tattoo because
Mhm.
if it was hot out, I'd put my hair up in a ponytail and the collar
Mhm.
didn't quite cover it unless it was. But I
Mhm.
remember, oh, this pissed me off. Male managers, okay, they just come up behind me and just, hey, touch me,
No.
touch me.
No,
to remind
no,
me.
No.
And it happened all the time. Like, I think the only time it didn't happen was when I was in housekeeping, because I didn't have male managers constant. But when I was in
Right.
attractions, it happened. They just come up behind me and they'll touch my neck.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It definitely happened at All Star a lot, and it was
Merchandise.
like, and it was not. It was. I mean, I was in a hotel, so it wasn't just merchandise managers. It was
Yeah.
front desk managers, housekeeping managers,
Well-
whoever felt the need to touch me.
Because of the culture that we live in, they feel like it's okay. They
Mhm.
feel like they
Do
have
not
reign
Put your hands
to
on
speak.
somebody.
without
Anyway.
with no permission. We got a
Yeah.
long way to.
But
There's
yeah.
gonna be generations to fix this. You know.
Yep. But I
It's-
always complained about how dumb these 1942 fucking appearance guidelines
Right.
were. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't have quote unquote extreme hairstyles.
You couldn't.
men-
Yeah.
Like what I have now, right? Just an undercut,
Would not be
just
acceptable.
a
Wow.
undershave. That would have
Was
not
it
been
have-
acceptable.
yeah.
No.
Right. Men couldn't have facial hair at all until that changed in like what
Could they have
20
mustaches?
12. No,
No.
there was no facial hair
No
until
facial hair. Okay.
they changed that while I was still
Yeah.
working there.
Hmm.
But there was this prevailing belief based on some quote unquote study that
Mhm.
that people with facial hair were seen by the public as less trustworthy.
Hmm.
One ring on each finger, or
Mhm.
no, one ring on each hand.
Unless it was a
Unless
wedding
it was
set.
a wedding set, you could have 2 rings on that finger.
Mm-hmm.
No bracelets. Unless
No.
A watch. You could wear a watch, but it had to be a watch. It couldn't be a bracelet
Yeah,
watch.
no necklaces.
No necklaces.
Body jewelry, face jewelry.
None
No,
of that.
none of that.
Nose ring, big no.
Nose ring. Oh,
No, couldn't do that.
Visible tattoos.
But it really was this like
They even down to what color your socks were.
it was this.
Disney better just supply me with some socks then.
Yeah,
'cause
no, they don't do that
Nope.
either.
Oh no. It's just this old like idea of what a wholesome American person looks like.
So if you had facial hair, you would get pulled
Oh yeah, they
and
send you
given
to
a razor and told you go fix it.
one of
And-
those shitty ones with a single blade.
Yeah, but listen to this. This
you're
is
gonna end
the
up with
funniest.
bumps. And
I
shit.
had
Mhm.
when I was at, I don't know if it ever happened in Fantasyland, but when I was at the hotel, we had a cast member and it was a woman who had a mustache. And
Mhm.
she got pulled over and over and over and given this thing and was told to go shave.
You
and
can't
she-
shave that. You
she-
shouldn't
yeah.
shave it.
She wouldn't do it. She would refuse. They'd write her up. She had to get HR involved. There was all this big, huge fuss because she was an old woman and she had like
it
some
happens
kind of
with hair. Trust me.
does.
she
Yeah.
had some kind of skin condition and she just didn't like when she would shave it, something happened and so she just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
And they were trying to they were reprimanding her and giving her all kinds of problems and eventually I guess they told her that if you don't, you're gonna it's distracting, it's
Mhm.
not Disney look, and you're gonna have to go get a new job or we're gonna have to let you go or whatever. So she got HR
You know
involved.
what? I guarantee you that park goers, I've been to Disney millions of times. Park goers are not going to give a shit about the lady with the facial hair over
No.
here.
Right.
They're not going to take the time to
They're
complain.
not. They're not even looking at you in the face 95%
Exactly.
of the time.
They do not care about you.
They do
Yeah,
not-
I mean, and it's
Yeah.
sad to say they're there for fun.
right.
It's hot as shit.
And again,
outside.
Like
They paid
when
$1
I go
million.
even when I go to the grocery store, I don't even make eye contact with the clerk 95% of the time because I'm just all up in my head about all the things I got to
Yeah.
do. When I'm on vacation, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're just having fun, and
Well, and you're just happy to be there.
yeah,
So-
like I'm glad you showed up for work to push the button on the Winnie the Pooh ride.
Like here's the thing though, like I can understand that in 1955 when Disneyland opened, people went to the amusement park in their Sunday best.
Yeah.
Like they
Oh, well,
they wore suits and dresses with heels and like that's how
In
people
Walt's
went
world.
out to go do this kind of thing
Right.
in the 50s. Ain't
Right.
the 50s anymore, y'all.
No.
You got to get rid of this
Evolve.
shit.
and it's Florida,
Evolve.
and everybody's hot
Yeah,
and miserable,
come on.
and stop making us more miserable.
Yep. You know,
Yep.
really funny side story, and then we'll wrap this up and go get into the Patreon segment. I had a conversation with an old resort friend of mine, Nicole, the other day, and because
Love me some Nicole.
I love Nicole, she's the best. We love you, Nicole. She was my trainer in the front desk world. She's great. We were talking about like working at hotels at Disney versus working at hotels in like the real world hotels, and just like how different it is and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, cause I'm looking around, I'm ready to try something different and get out of third shift. And you know, I've got hotel front desk experience. I'll look at that.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at some of that, and I asked, you know, just like, hey, what are some of the interview questions that I should prepare for and that sort of thing. And she was like, yeah, you really have to. She gave me some, you know, tell me about a time when you went above and beyond for a guest, that kind of stuff. And she said, you really got to practice your answers. And I was like, oh, honey, no, I'm way beyond that. I don't do that anymore. This is what you get. And like, I'm not going to play that blowing smoke up your ass game anymore. Like, this is who I am. Hire me or don't. But like, I wasted all those years on Disney.
Yeah.
I really wasted all of that. I'm not playing that. No.
That game.
No.
Oh, you have this stupid rule that I can't have my hair the way it is right now? Well, fuck you. I guess I'm not working for
Right.
you, asshole.
Right. Like, okay, fine, bye.
Fine.
Yep.
Anyway,
Okay.
there is hot off the presses. Devin just sent me
Oh,
an
Devin.
article.
Uh-oh.
How do I want to pitch this? Because we're gonna
Thanks,
talk.
Devin.
We're gonna talk about this in the Patreon segment.
Oh.
I'm gonna save it.
Okay.
It is about Florida. It is about a
That's a good start.
that is the name of the show. Florida right to pray.
What the fuck?
Okay.
We're gonna talk about a new legislative
Pray
attempt.
P-R-E-Y or P-R-A-Y?
P-R-E-Y.
With the church, it could be either. So yes, there's an effort in Florida that's going to be coming up. It's about the right to pray.
Lovely.
So we'll talk about that in the Patreon segment.
Oh, boy.
What do you got coming up? What's going on? What's happening? Nothing. Me neither. It is.
I mean, not a
That's
lot
not
that I
true.
can talk about, but yeah, I can't
Yeah,
talk about it right
same.
now. But lots of just I'll talk about FBB. Let's see, we're still doing our Summer of Hunger campaign. I'm so terrible. I'm
Summer
sorry.
without hunger.
Summer without
Summer of
hunger.
I think
Hunger. Oh,
that's
gosh.
right.
Oh,
I think
man.
that's right.
Allie,
Summer
come
without
on now.
hunger.
Hang on, I gotta call
campaign.
Tiff.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Tiff.
Yikes. Did your
still-
mission statement change or something?
No, I'm just dumb.
Oh god.
So kids are still out of school, so I know you guys are going back soon, but we're still having the fundraiser to try to raise money for kids who, sometimes there are kids who school was the only place they could get a reliable meal. So we're still raising money for that. Next week we have our fireside chat with our Ghanaian employee, which is it's going to be exciting. She's going to tell us what's happening in Ghana, because I think it's kind of been a mystery.
Yep.
So it's going to be really, really, really good. So, and then that's it right now that I can talk
Awesome.
about. So yeah.
I want to mention to everybody, so if you've been listening for a while, if you've been watching the show, and following along with the atheist community of Polk County, what we've been doing, we recently, the village elders with the It Takes a Village food pantry program got together and voted to begin dissolving the food pantry. The reason is pretty simple. A project of that scope takes some serious money. We were limping along paying our volunteer coordinator like $100 a week to do a job that should be paying, $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have it. And so volunteers were getting burned out, and the leadership team, we all each have our own organizations to run and other things. And people were going back to work when COVID started to wind down. And so from the beginning, we really did, have an intent that this thing was going to be temporary. It was a response to COVID. But that we liked it and would, if there were a possibility to keep it going in some way, that, we were all for that, just not in the cards right now. So our last distribution is August 5th and 7th. That's the Thursday and Saturday deliveries that we do. That's the last distribution that we're going to do. Now, that said, we learned a ton about how to operate a food pantry. It was a program that had never been done before. Like, I think a lot of people liken it to Meals on Wheels, and it's kind of like that, but it's like Meals on Wheels meets, like, I don't know, HelloFresh and Uber grocery or something.
Nice.
Like, I don't know. It's
Instacart.
Yeah, that's
but
the word. Instacart.
It's
That's the one.
Instacart, but you don't pay for it. Basically, it's
It's
Instacart
free.
for
Right.
people who need it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. So,
Although you don't get to pick what you get, you just get what you get.
you're right. You get what's
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So I feel like it was such a novel thing that it hadn't really been done before. I think there's a need for it.
I think, yeah.
And I think with the proper funding, you could set this thing up anywhere, and I'd
You
be
could.
happy to talk to you about what we did and how we
Mhm.
did it, and share what
To
we've got.
reproduce that.
There's
Yeah.
there is a very good opportunity for a programmer to take the back end shit that I was doing manually and
Mhm.
automate it. As far as like when people would sign up, I would receive all of the information, and then I would plot that manually on a Google map, and then I would associate clusters of addresses just sort of based on visualizing it into groups of 10 or less. I think the Google Maps stops have a 10 stop limit.
Yeah.
So I would cluster those into routes based on their geography, and then we would try to match that route with a volunteer in that area so that they were serving their neighborhood, and it,
Oh man.
that sort of thing. So there is definitely an opportunity for someone to engineer automating some of that like back end stuff that
Somebody
I was
make
doing
an app
manually.
for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely.
Totally.
And, yeah,
We
and
need
that,
an app for that.
yeah, and shoot, maybe it's somebody Instacart clone sort of thing or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's already being done in the commercial world.
Right.
It would be easy
Right.
to adapt to this sort of nonprofit
Right.
thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, I just say all that to say that like we really learned a lot, and it was it was humbling to have learned just how bad the food insecurity problem is here. And I know that it's not just here, that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
That the problem was here long before COVID. COVID made it worse. It will not go away when COVID goes away. This is a problem that we are going to continuously be battling, and so maybe we'll take another swing at it in the future, and be involved in some sort of big scale food program like this again. I would definitely jump at the chance.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a full-time job for at least one person to manage it all. So
yeah, and that I think that was the key. Like we had one person that was managing all of the coordinating of everything. But
Yeah.
then we had volunteers that had to show up whenever we had food deliveries, and
Right.
other volunteers to show up to drive routes, and other volunteers
lot
to
of people.
sort the pallets
Yeah.
and pallets of food
Yeah.
donations into boxes for the families to receive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of
It's
work.
a huge effort.
Well, when you
And-
think about like what a traditional food pantry is like,
Right.
and how different we were from that. Like at a
Yeah.
traditional food pantry, the truck shows up, you unload it, you bring it inside, maybe you stock the shelves or whatever,
Mhm.
and then people
And
can
then
come
people
and
People
shop.
come and shop, but this
Right.
was not
This
that.
was
This was not that. This was big.
And I think for as quickly as we got it together and for as long as we lasted, it was
Yeah,
very
it was
successful.
over a year. Yeah,
Yeah.
over a year.
And we learned a lot, so that
Yeah.
if we
awesome.
get to a point where we can do it again, it'll definitely,
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll have a lot of tricks to take along.
Nice.
And again, if anybody wants to know what we did and how we did it, I am
Yeah.
happy to share that. Just reach out. The American Humanist Association annual conference officially kicks off tomorrow, the 24th.
Sweet.
So again, at 1:00 Eastern tomorrow, Tiff and I will be doing our presentation. It's not so much a presentation. We're gonna chat,
It's a panel.
and we're gonna take audience questions and stuff, and talk about that, about service and humanism, and I'll tell you a story about that later too. Put a pause in that.
Patreon.
Put a pin in that. Use code FIF5. You get $5 off. Go to conference.americanhumanist.org. Put in code FIF5 and you get $5 off the conference registration. There's tons of great speakers and panels and events happening. Dr. Fauci is going to provide some remarks as the Humanist of the Year. So that's awesome.
Fauci. Sorry.
Right. A real American hero.
Real American hero.
Heroes.
See, I was thinking
Becca and I will create a song for her.
It's a commercial. Isn't that like a song from a commercial about a Ford truck or something?
I think it was a beer commercial.
Maybe it was a beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a beer commercial.
But you know what I thought?
Oh my
I thought of G.I. Joe.
Oh,
Real American
dude.
hero.
Oh no.
G.I. Joe
G.I.
is there. Yes. See, there you go.
Yeah, I
Oh my
don't know that
God.
one.
That's it.
Yeah, we know what we were doing Saturday mornings when
That's
back in
right.
back
Yes.
in the 80s. Oh my
Yes.
I wasn't into the G.I. Joe. I
Uh,
probably wasn't allowed to be.
you're probably not. We should do a show on G.I. Joe sometime because it's crazy how like
God. Really?
yeah, if you
She's like, really?
if
I'm
you
like,
no
is there that much
listen,
to talk about?
if you look at the
No,
social
she just wants to show off her
Her
what's
collection.
Shut up.
Your collection.
if you look at the social narrative that was being indoctrinated to people through G.I.
G.I.
Joe,
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
You have
okay.
G.I. Joe, the American hero. Who was the enemy?
everybody. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Like foreign, anybody foreign.
Mm-hmm.
That's one component of it.
If you look at all their dolls and all the ones that were, what is it? Cobra was the.
Cobra. Yeah.
Cobra.
Look at the Cobra dolls and compare them to the GI Joe dolls. I guarantee all the GI Joe dolls are white.
They're not.
Yeah.
No,
They're not.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to look for
I'll go out into the garage and pull it. What's that thing called that you have out there
the
in the
terror
box?
drome.
She has the terror drome still. In
I
her
used to
garage.
have
Oh my
to
God.
have the aircraft carrier, which was like
Oh
the
my
size of a twin
gosh.
bed.
size of yeah, it was huge.
Wow. I wasn't
Listen.
that hardcore. Okay.
Cobra
Uh-huh.
is a fictional terrorist organization
terrorist.
and the nemesis of the GI Joe team in GI Joe. So yeah, so it was a bunch of foreign voiced people and a terrorist organization going up against basically
Yeah.
the U.S.
See,
military
I want
force.
to know
This
what the
was
mindset is. I want to know who voiced these terrorists at the foreign. Were they people pretending to have foreign accents, or did they actually hire people with
No.
real foreign accents? And how did those people feel being objectified as terrorists?
Oh, I wonder that all the time in movies. Like even so like what was this, like 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s? Like back then though, the only way you could get a part if you were black or dark just skin color is you had to play that
Was
role
cast type.
of
Mhm.
yeah. But I wonder like how do they feel now?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
because we still do these movies. We still do the
Right.
movies like terrorist movies. We still do the movies in the hood.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
how do you
Yeah.
how do you feel as an actor to play that part? I don't know. Anyway,
Don't forget to
Sorry.
apply for one of the many scholarships offered through the Secular Student Alliance. The ACPC has sponsored a $1,000 scholarship, and there's lots of different other ones all over the country, different states that sponsor different ones. Go to fif.show/scholarship to apply. August 31st is the deadline. So clock's ticking. You got about a month. Get on it. And then Devin and I are still working on our presentation that we're going to go do a Florida tour, we think is the plan, and talk about getting back into action, what that looks like for your group. Are you ready? Are you ready to take the next step to do more? And then also to get involved with the legislative agenda of the atheist movement. We're working on a bill that would at least require healthcare providers to tell you what they refuse to treat you with, so that you at least know going in.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, I'm a Catholic. I'm not going to prescribe you birth control or whatever.
Before you pay that copay.
Yeah. So if you're part of a local atheist, humanist, UU, Oasis, whatever group, and you want us to come talk to your group about all that stuff, give us a shout at info@fif.show. And I think that's all that I have for that. So let's wrap the show, and then we'll be back for the Patreon segment where we're going to talk about this thing that Devin just sent me. about putting
Right to
prayer back
pray.
in Florida or whatever it is. Yeah, the right to pray.
I'm gonna cuss a lot, I think.
Well, haven't we been doing that already?
Well,
I know. I'm
we
so
have.
sorry. Tonight has been horrible for me.
It
I'm
was
way
I'm
that
sorry,
paper,
whatever.
I feel like the stack of paper that she brought in tonight just deemed those F-bombs necessary.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure, they were worthy.
Definitely.
Very worthy.
And if you find that our language in reaction to those stories is more offensive than the stories themselves, then maybe you're listening to the wrong show.
Maybe you should fuck off. I don't know.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm on a
and
roll,
yes.
so I'm.
That reminded
Yeah.
me. You just reminded me of a comedy bit. We'll talk about that in the Patreon segment too, maybe.
Cool.
Okay.
Anyway,
Cool.
next week on Freethought in Florida. That's next week, next Friday night at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific.
No teaser?
No, I don't
You
have
said
anything
that
planned.
way,
That's why I do it that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's funny.
And that's it for this week.
Winging it.
Freethought in Florida is available on YouTube, Facebook, and popular podcast players. You can find all the subscribe links at fif.show and send us an email to info@fif.show. Please like, subscribe, share out the episodes, and help us reach a broader audience. And of course, remember the 3 most important things. Wash your hands, get your vaccine, and be kind to each other. Be safe, everybody. We'll see you next week on Freethought in Florida.